Right, I'm thrilled to be here with Paul Grant, the
Hi.
funding correct game. How about that? How about that's very formal, isn't it? A nice formal
Yes,
start.
it is a bit, isn't it? Should be hugging maybe.
Here we are at the British Library's Business and IP Centre, and you're just about to run one of your funding for fast growth events, which I'm really looking forward to. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about something that's on the rise, which is crowdfunding. Lots of people in the past, when they're thinking about starting a business, might think of going somewhere like the bank or other forms of investment, but crowdfunding's on the rise. What, in a nutshell, is it?
Crowdfunding is literally using the general public to raise money for your enterprise. Crowdfunding can be come from loads of different areas. There's, for example, there's more kind of gifting sites or reward sites where the general public actually donate money that they're not going to get back again, but they might get some rewards in return. And it could be some of the product, it could be a ticket to the opening show if you're doing an opening show. But there'll be some reward element in there, and you get to crowd equity sites where they actually get shares in your company. And then there are other sites, crowd sites like crowd lending sites, and it's very much on the rise at the moment,
Right.
and it's very beneficial for not only for the crowd to take part in some of these projects, but also for entrepreneurs to be able to get access to a much wider base of finance.
Got you. And so why are these sites on the rise? Is it because traditional places like banks aren't lending or seemingly aren't lending, and because other sources like angel investors and so on are harder for people to reach? Is that part of the reason?
Yeah, that's right. They're there to fill a gap, really, and the gap is that it's difficult to get funding, especially from the banks. So obviously they're not really doing a lot to help the early stage businesses at the moment. And also for angel funding, it is notoriously difficult to get angel funding. Only 1% of entrepreneurs actually manage to get angel funding.
And angels are people who are established entrepreneurs themselves.
That's right, yeah. And also, often the rounds are a bit more serious. They're from £50,000, maybe a bit more.
Right.
And it's a long, very lengthy process. Can take traditionally about 6 months to get angel funding, but crowdfunding can be pretty quick once you get up and running, once you've got prepped for it.
So just a quick thought about before we close on this, on the crowdfunding thing. What are the potential? Who is it good for? Give us some of the scenarios where it will be apt for, that it might work for you, and perhaps places where it wouldn't be apt for.
Yeah, it's looking from the crowd equity side, as in they get shares in your company. Traditionally, it's good for entrepreneurs that maybe already got some following already.
Right.
So they've got maybe a fan base, maybe it's customers, or maybe it's just people just really excited about what they're about to do. But ideally you need some kind of following before you go out. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult to get enough traction to carry over the hump.
Yeah.
It's not impossible, but if you are going to do it without the crowd already with you, then I would suggest going for smaller amounts, like 20,000 up to 50,000. Over 50,000, you're going to need a crowd to start with. All industries are pretty much covered by crowdfunding. For the actual gifting sites, as all the reward sites, often it's better for, at the moment, creative industries or product-based industries. It works well with a product-based industry because you can basically offer them products in exchange for donating money. So if you, for example, we did a new watch, then you'd say, okay, if you donate £200, then in return you get the first to get the watch when it comes off the factory line.
Right.
And so that works quite well. Creative industries, people love being involved in new creative productions, or even books, or maybe you've got some
an album or whatever,
artwork or something.
Yeah.
People actually like and they would like to play a part in that.
Right.
So that suits that industry quite well.
And where are the pitfalls? Because presumably there are some pitfalls involved in this. It's online. Often you may not know the people, or you might, or what have you. Are there any just general pitfalls and things to watch out for?
The pitfalls at the moment from the side of the entrepreneur are relatively low. In fact, the only main thing is the time.
Right.
With expense, you don't pay anything up front unless you're going to need a video in nearly all cases. Yeah, you're going to have to probably spend, unless you've got a friend that's very good at doing the videoing, you're going to probably have to spend a bit of money there.
Yeah.
But it can be pretty low cost, and you'll have to pay a 5% success fee almost across the board, maybe a bit more.
When you say, who does that go to?
That goes to the actual platforms
Right.
that you're raising the money on, these crowdfunding platforms. It can be as much as 7%, maybe a bit more than that.
And they'll take that from the money
They'll
raised.
take that only from the money you've already raised. So there's not really, I mean, there is some expense there, but then there is expense with only capital raising. So,
Yeah.
But the pitfall is, I suppose, is that you just don't manage to raise the money, and you spend, a considerable amount of time, could be a couple of months on it. trying to get it going, promoting it.
Got it.
Um,
And from the perspective of the crowd looking in, are there any particular pitfalls or things things to be mindful of there that you would suggest that they are mindful of?
I'd be mindful of just getting the momentum going. Look at it like you're opening a.
You're on camera.
We're doing an interview. You can play a part.
Yeah. So you'd say
yeah, the moment is a momentum. It is make sure that you get a sense of momentum. It's like opening a new a film, basically, a new premiere, and you've got to get it's the big launch, and you've got to build up to that launch, and you've got to follow through after that launch. So that's the one thing to bear in mind. You can't just flop it out there on one of these sites and just hope and pray that it's going to hit. So it does take a bit of effort.
And just before we close, what are your thoughts on the future of crowdfunding? Is it something that you think we're going to see evolve and develop? Is it a fad, or do you think it's going to take its place along with all the other different kind of forms of funding?
I think crowdfunding is here to stay, but I think at the moment it's pretty hyped up at the moment, and it's definitely on the rise. But there might come a point where it is kind of squashed a little bit. I think a few things will happen, and maybe create a little bit of a wariness about crowdfunding, because at the moment it's pretty much open field. They've legitimised it. So there's dozens of crowdfunding sites opening all the time. So I'm a bit concerned that at some point the general public are going to have a bit of a kind of tough ride, and things are going to be clamped down a little bit, and it won't be so sexy as it is right now. Yeah. So, but I think it is here to stay. Yeah.
And any quick tips for entrepreneurs who have thought they've heard about it and they're about to use it? Any just very one or two just quick tips?
I just the most important aspect, the most important element of the crowdfunding whole thing is to get the pitch right. To get that, often this 2-minute video that you'll need. Just make sure the video pitch is really pitch perfect, and that you work with a professional. It doesn't look amateurish, and you really work through a proper script and get that bit really honed down. Because people will buy emotionally off crowdfunding. Not so much everyone buys emotionally, but crowdfunding in particular, they really want to buy into you, who you are as a person, and what you're about, and what's your mission, and you need to portray that through like a 2-minute video clip pretty efficiently. So I'll focus on that element. That's a big tip, really.
Excellent. Well, pull up out there you go, because we can see that the crowd are already pouring in for your workshop here. So thank you very much. Looking forward to sitting and to this. Oh, and before we go, so if people are trying to find you, you'll run a workshop here once every month at the British Library. You're one of the partners alongside myself. And if people are trying to find you and your website generally, what's the website address?
It's www.thefundinggame.co.uk.
Okay, I'm so glad you know it. Thefundinggame.co.uk. Wonderful. Well,
every month I do one here, and I cover crowdfunding as well.
Oh, fantastic. It's been a pleasure. I'm going to leave you to smile at the camera as we turn the camera off. And good luck to everyone if you're out there and you're thinking about crowdfunding. Take care.
Great, thank you.